Welcome to Looking at Legal Stuff. Today we have two hearings in a case with a couple where Dad, who lives out of state from his child, is attempting to hold Mom in contempt for missing at least 10 of his scheduled video calls. He also says that when he does get through on a call, it's difficult to keep his son's attention because Mom doesn't do anything to make sure there are no distractions, like turning off the TV. Mom says she's doing her best to facilitate the calls, but she says there's only so much she can do to get a 4.5-year-old to pay attention. She says she wants to be able to figure this out with him, but she doesn't appreciate the daily verbal abuse from Dad and his family, just because they don't think she's doing enough to make these calls happen. What does the referee think of their claims? Let's find out.
Contempt against Ms. Coleman for not complying with current court orders. The current court orders to have FaceTime every Sunday at 10:30 and Wednesday at 6:30. Ms. Judy, is there anything you have to add to this? I believe we have several complaints. How many total?
We do. I've counted 10 total. Both
Okay.
the complaints I sent over with scheduling this meeting and then a few that we received after scheduling the meeting as well.
All right. How long are these calls? Because there's no specification in the court order.
That's correct, Your Honor. Nothing that's specified within the order itself as to how long the calls need to take place.
All right. Mr. Coleman, how long do the calls generally last? We're dealing with almost a 5-year-old.
Typically, when I have his attention, around 5 minutes.
I was going to say, normally it lasts about a minute per year, and we're technically at his 5th year. So, yeah, normally about 5 minutes is as much as they can contain. No offense, it's just a rule of thumb that always seems to work, a minute for every year of age, because their attention span. Once they hit about 9 or 10, you can double it, but you got to wait until they're in school to really start getting their attention span. All right, ma'am, your response was basically that he is threatening you. Correct?
It's harassment and verbal abuse, yes.
And when is this harassment and verbal abuse allegedly happening?
Any day.
Are they during these parenting time exchanges?
They're not.
Okay. Sir, how often do you try to contact the mother?
Typically, when the calls were missed, I would text her about it.
Okay.
And then also when we're having the calls, I've been having a lot of issues with distractions being in place. So
well, we're dealing with a 4.5-year-old. You're talking about, heck, I have the memory of the attention span of a squirrel, but
I mean, I get that and I understand that, but when you add an iPad into the play, a TV into play,
all right, then what we're going to add to the
traveling into play,
because I'm definitely giving you makeup time, and how I'm going to do that is we're going to increase these to 3 calls a week. Does Miss Coleman, do you take the child to church on Sundays?
I do not.
Okay, the reason I'm asking is because 10:30 on a Sunday morning, it could be a problem for some people, but for most people anymore who don't go to church anymore, not that big of a problem. So I would leave it at 10:30 on Sundays, and then 6:30 on. And I take it you're out of work at 5, ma'am?
I do not currently work, no.
Okay, then 6:30 should work on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Mm-hmm.
What I would ask that you do, and part of this order is no other distractions. Turn off everything but the communication device. All right.
Okay.
The call should last for 5 minutes. You are in contempt of this court because you are not violating court order. This comes with an instruction to both of you because there was some things in here about your family also harassing her, Mr. Coleman. That is also a violation of a statute. It's called the inherent rights of the child. Neither party is allowed to disparage the other party at all, nor to allow any third party to disparage them. So this is a warning to you. Curtail it. All right. There are no calls to her or communication outside of these calls for the child. The way you do this is to hold her in contempt. Ma'am, I'm going to hold in abeyance any fines on this. But you got to understand, if you don't start doing it, it's going to be a fine of $25 to $100 each time.
Yes, Judge.
It increases each time there is a problem. And I realize I will give some leeway to the fact that we're dealing with a 5-year-old. Mr. Coleman, it's my understanding you're in the military, correct?
I'm not anymore.
Not anymore. Okay. Are you staying in wherever you're living?
Yes.
Okay. Because, ma'am, you got to take into account the fact that the court's never going to jump to, he can threaten to get joint physical custody or take custody from you. That's not going to happen absent very extreme circumstances, like Child Protective Services getting involved and removing the kid from you. Protective Services gets involved every once in a while, but they don't remove the child. And it's, it's like they go to check on something. That's not going to create a change of custody. Sir, if those are the kind of things you're saying, stop. Because it's obvious that if you do continue that, she can record the conversation in Michigan. Not the conversation of the child, but she can record a conversation that you have with her. And if she does, and she shows the court that you are doing that, that might prevent your parenting time. And you have to also understand the reasonable consequences of making any kind of harassment to her. Of course, she's going to back off. That's why I'm not charging her any fines right now.
Well, I'm not harassing her, sir. And
well,
I have messages,
if you're saying something, what I'm saying is, if you're saying something like that, that can also interfere with your ability to increase parenting time or change parenting time or do something more. Like I said, this is a warning because most people don't know the law. You're presumed to. But if I can explain it to you, it generally changes the way you interact with one another. When you do communicate with each other, sir, you're talking to the mother of your child. Ma'am, you're talking to the father of your child. You're not talking to each other's ex. All right? Please understand that child inherently, they've got big ears. They'll hear things two rooms away. Let's face it, they don't pay attention to any parent, and all of a sudden you say something you don't want them to hear, and the next thing you know, what was that? And they pop up around the corner. Come on. Children are the biggest con artists and manipulators in the world. I think they were designed that way. It helps them to survive. That's why God made them so cute. Okay? And I have no doubt that both of you love this child. And we really need to get the communication going more frequently as well, ma'am. So the inherent makeup time is I'm increasing the time, but it's going to stay increased afterwards. So after all the time's made up, sir, it stays at 3 times a week. Sunday at 10:30, Tuesday and Thursday. If either of you need to change that, then you may file the appropriate motion. Okay? But the court order would have to change.
It was at 2 times, so now we're increasing.
Yeah, I know. You're going to 3, so because I need to make up 10 times that he missed.
Okay.
But what I'm saying is after those 10 times are made up over the next 10 weeks, I'm leaving it at 3 times because I want this child to have continuous contact. It's only 5 minutes. And like I said, I want in the order that it's, a minute for every year of age. And right now he's 4.5, so 5's close enough. Then we may increase it as he gets older. What, ma'am?
Okay. Per my phone documents, these calls last around 30 seconds.
Try and see if you can get him to pay attention. Like I said, turn off all the distractions. And Mr. Coleman, please understand, if you've got a 5-year-old that's going, yeah, I'm bored now. Now, I'm not going to hold her in contempt for not making a 5-minute call when it's the child's attention span.
Completely understand that. My biggest issue with the calls is not that. It's more so the structure of the calls to this point. Is like you said, like when you put TV in play.
Well, that's why I'm ordering that no other devices be on in the room where the child is talking with you.
I just want to set record that that's not what's happening every single phone call.
Well, I understand. I'm just making sure that I'm trying to eliminate any problems here.
Okay.
It'd be nice if it would be nice, when I speak to kids, because I generally have to speak to children in custody and parenting time cases, I tend to speak with them in their room. And sometimes the younger, unfortunately, the Supreme Court has said that we've got to meet with kids under all the way down to 6. A little sketchy on that, but all of a sudden I get a 6-year-old showing me their favorite toy. But if he's in the bedroom, those are things, Mr. Coleman, that you can ask. What you got going on in your room, because let's face it, he's going to be up and down, off the bed, down on the floor. And what type of device does he use to communicate, Ms. Coleman?
My phone. My iPhone.
Okay, so it's easily handleable in his hand. Okay, so he can carry it with him. Yeah, I will tell you, I was terrified. My daughter's 20, almost 24 now. When she was 9, I saw her carrying her phone around in front of her face, and she's 9. She had just gotten the phone so that we could track her. You got the GPS on it. It's a really nice thing, actually. But she's walking around and talking to it, and I'm like, "What are you doing?" And she's like talking to Grandpa and showing him around the house. And I'm like, "Wait a minute, What scared me was the fact that I had no idea how to use FaceTime. I didn't even know what FaceTime was. And my 80-year-old father and my 9-year-old daughter knew how to use it.
It's COVID
This is,
babies.
well, this was before COVID. Like I said, she's
Yeah.
24. This was 15
Yeah.
years ago. And I'm like, okay, this is another part of the sandwich generation. You got the older people that are getting tech savvy because that's their ways of communication and contact with the world. And you got the younger ones doing the same thing, where the rest of us are all working a lot.
Judge, I do have a
just make it.
question.
Sure.
What do I do if the phone calls don't last 5 minutes? And
Try and leave the
Okay.
child with the phone for that 5 minutes.
okay,
If not, the kid may dump the phone on the floor. Record that, basically just make a note of it. Child walked out of the room, dropped the phone, and that may happen. Kid goes, Daddy, I'm going to go get a juice. Done. Like I said, with 5-year-olds in long distances, we have problems. But that's why sometimes increasing the contact is what helps. It's not perfect. None of this
Mhm.
is. I'm just trying to do what's best so this child knows his father. Let's face it, I didn't set this situation up. You guys have. I'm just trying to do the best I can for you within the constraints of the law. All right. Just don't stop the phone contact. You don't have to contact, any messages he sends you or something, ma'am, keep copies of it. If it winds up to the level of harassment, filing a personal protection order is in order. And that's the warning to Mr. Coleman too. Be very careful of that. Okay. Ma'am, you need to contact him and tell him when's the child starting school.
September 11th, and he knows that already.
Okay. Sir, you contact the school. You have the right to have access to the school portal. All right. They will give you a password and everything. Well, I think you have to make up your password, but they will give you access to the school portal. You have that right. And you have the right to contact the school and talk to the teacher. Okay. That's both parents' rights, so that both of you know that you have the ability to have that contact. So feel free. The good thing about the internet too and stuff like this is you can contact the school no matter what state you're in. All right. So, and she can't limit that contact. Now, if you harass this, if you're a problem with the school, they can limit the contact. So please be careful. I've had people not do the smartest thing in the world. So forgive me if I'm jumping to places that I don't know if either one of you would go to, and I hope neither one of you will. I'm just trying to give you the parameters. Because no offense to you, I'd love you to raise your own child, and I'd love to not see you with all that often. I'm here if you need me. Okay? Because this, eventually we'll see what happens, and things need to be reassessed in the future. Parenting time is always reassessable until the child's 18. All right?
Yes,
So
Judge.
we'll see what happens. All right. Both of you take care. Miss Judy will draft the order of the court. We're going to try and get copies to you as soon as possible. Today is Wednesday. Did you want to start with having time tonight, or do you want to start tomorrow night, Mr. Coleman, and go with the Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday beginning immediately?
I have something going on today, so
Okay.
Start it next week would be preferred.
Okay, start it on Sunday, and then Tuesday and Thursday next week. No problem. Take care to both of you. It was nice meeting you. I hope things go better in your future. Sometimes just an explanation is enough. All righty?
Yeah.
Take
Thank
care
you.
of yourselves. Enjoy the first day of school.
Yeah.
I'm not going to hold her in contempt, sir, for sending you a picture of the child's first day at school picture. Some communication is appropriate between the two of you. I'm just asking you to be cautious. All right. We have formats and platforms that are available to have you communicate, like My Family Wizard or other things like that. And if you ever need that, then feel free to call. But yeah, normally texts and emails are savable and printable, which means sometimes that's the best format to contact. And you contact if there is any contact outside of these calls because of something that's happening with the child. I would expect her to contact you if the child is, gone to the emergency room or something like that. Or like I said, maybe send you a picture of the first day at school. All right. Good luck to both of you. Take care.
Thank
Take
you.
care of your child. All righty.
Thanks.
Thank you, Miss Judy. Ordered both parties to turn over evidence, and each party has sent in conflicting evidence. I have indication from his phone that he called on those days, and Ms. Coleman has sent in information that she received no call. The only question I have for you, Mr. Coleman, is some of yours say that they are canceled, which means you ended the call before she picked up, which may indicate that why she didn't receive a call on her end. Why did the calls end, sir?
Yes, sir. So that's actually not how that works. When you do FaceTimes,
Yeah.
if they don't pick up, that's how the call registers.
Okay, because my understanding is that call canceled means that it didn't go through, which means you tried. So I can't hold you in contempt for not trying. And ma'am, your information shows that you didn't complete the call, or you never received a call.
Right.
So I need more than 50% of the evidence to show that somebody's in contempt of court. Neither one of you have made 50%. So the question becomes, how the hell do I get you through this? My thought is FaceTime is not working. I would ask that each of you maybe sign up for WhatsApp, which is free. I can order you to do My Family Wizard, which costs you, I think, about $100 each a year. It has more features than WhatsApp, but WhatsApp is at least free, but it will allow FaceTime and it maintains the logs. So, sir, if you try to call, it notices that. Ma'am, if you don't pick up, it notices that. So it would be a more effective way of figuring out what the hell's happening between you two. It looks like everybody's frustrated here. And
may I
yeah,
say something?
Sure.
So we both have iPhones. On an iPhone, when you call somebody, whether it's a FaceTime or a regular phone call, if they hang up before the other party receives that call, it states canceled call. It would state, if I didn't pick up, a missed call.
Understood, but he's tried and it hasn't been picked up. So I don't know how to deal with that. So I can't hold him in contempt for not trying because he tried. I can't hold you in contempt because it doesn't show that you didn't try to answer the call. And that's where I'm at. I'm sitting here going, okay, now I've got contradictory information from the provisions that you gave. And I thank you for doing that because most people never comply, by the way, when I ask for this stuff. So I'll give you that. Props for you guys. Probably for being young and understanding the system better than an old guy with white hair. All I want is for the contact to be made. So the court orders stand, they will be enforced, but I'm going to order you guys to follow WhatsApp. Okay. I'm giving you hold on. I'm giving you 14 days to sign up for that and to get it going. The sooner you do it, the better. So if you can sign up the next day or two. Miss Judy, do you have information on how they can sign up for WhatsApp?
It's actually app close.
Oh, app close. I'm sorry.
There we go. That was why my hand was up. APP.
Yeah, well, I call it Facebook and TikTok,
App close. It's a application you can get on the Apple Store. You guys both have.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. There you go. So it's I'm sorry. I call it Face Talk and TikBook. So I actually used that line at my son's wedding. See, the old generation can still make some jokes. While this is not a joke, and I do not want to treat it as such, I try to keep it light because I need both of you to get along, and I need all of this to happen. And what I need it to do is to happen.
Agree, Your Honor.
Right.
I do have one question in terms
Sure.
of, I know the first time that we got all together. I just want to make sure there's a clear understanding in terms of how the FaceTime calls have gone, because I have also had issues with how the calls are being conducted, with, again, TVs being involved, iPad, toy.
What do you mean by TVs, iPads, and toys?
So I remember when we got on the call the first time, you said he should be in a room and he can have the phone, and then if he stays in the room and he talks, then that's one thing. But you also said, hey, he is 5. There's a good chance he might not stay that long.
Right. So, if there are some toys involved, and maybe he's kind of being preoccupied a little bit, so he stays there, maybe it'll help. You know, because what 5-year-old sits there and does nothing except talk? None.
Well,
But
that's
you know,
true.
yeah,
But the TV part of it is what's been bothering me.
right. Yeah. If you could shut off the TV, that would be
Oh, I do have these FaceTime calls in his bedroom. There's no TV.
Oh, okay. So what's going on? What is in the background?
I don't know.
Oh,
That's
okay.
what I understand.
All right. Well, see if you can limit the distractions. Obviously, give him something that might keep him a little occupied, but limit the distractions. Um,
I take his iPad and he doesn't have a TV in his room. All he does
okay.
is play toys. So I
Okay. All right. So I don't know what's happening, sir. What are you hearing? What do you think you're hearing?
Well, I'm not sure if a bedroom has a couch in it, but I mean that's exactly so. And then he's
Well,
usually, and I'm
as I got
talking to
older,
him.
it did. But then again, I
Uh,
also had a waterbed. So
so when I'm talking to him, as soon as I get on the phone, he's like, "No, I want to watch TV now. I want to go back to watching TV." And
okay.
we have
Yeah.
text
Oh,
messages. We have text messages going
yeah.
back and forth of him or her saying, "Oh, I told him to pause it before we talked." So
Okay.
the
Well,
biggest thing
because
is like,
he's got to be preoccupied before you get there. So obviously he's doing what he normally does, and this is an interruption. What we have to do is remind him that, yeah, no, this is time for dad. You know, the TV can restart after this is over.
and I do state that to Miles.
Yeah.
So
Just keep working on that because, like I said, we've got a 5-year-old. In this day and age, at least we have this. There was a time when you guys were separated when nothing could happen.
yeah,
I would also like to bring up like the distractions on my end as well as Zach's end of you know, he did miss last Thursday's phone call. And it feels like every other time he's been calling, it's, he's in the car driving.
Well, I would ask that if you can, sir, what are the problems with you being set and sedentary for these calls, sir?
there is no problem with me being sedentary. So I'm
Okay,
not very
okay.
sure.
Just make sure you're in a certain place, and that way you limit distractions from your end because that could disturb the conversation. 5-year-olds they're 5-year-olds. God help us. I've got a 24-year-old in the basement right now. God help me. They do get older, and God help you when they do that. In any event, what else can I help you with? Because that's all I'm trying to do is help you.
I would just like both distractions if he's asking.
Yeah. Well,
And
distractions should be limited on
Mhm.
both ends as best as possible.
Yes.
Keep it as bland as possible on each end. That way there's nothing going on in your background, sir. And as limited as possible, and keep him in his bedroom.
Mhm.
Does he have a couch in his bedroom?
No, he has a bed.
Okay. Is it a pull-out bed or is it a couch bed?
It's just a twin bed.
Okay. So, as I interviewed a 8-year-old a few weeks ago, I had her to show me her bedroom. She named every one of her dolls. I have to interview children every once in a while. And I didn't realize how many dolls she had or how many names she could make them. But, that's an 8-year-old. And that was hard enough for me to interview because by law now, our higher courts have determined that if I don't interview a child that's over 6, that's not, once they're turned 6, I have to interview them, that it's a mistrial. So we have to start all over. And I'm like, I used to not interview any child less than 10. And 8 and 9-year-olds, I've had one that was very capable and competent. So
I would also like to state just one more thing of the constant text messages coming from Zach.
Yeah.
Even though it was stated we need to limit our communication, it's still very harassing.
Maybe we can make app close, whatever app you indicated, Miss Judy, that has the ability for them to communicate through the app, correct?
Yes.
Then why don't we make all communications through the app, because that also monitors your apps. That also says when texts are sent and when texts are sent back.
Perfect. Sounds good to me.
And Miss Coleman, you got to understand, he wants to be involved in this child's life. And, I can't imagine how hard it is to not know. Morning routine was mine when my kids were young. Afternoon routine was my wife's. And we had a hard enough time, and we lived together communicating to figure out what was going on with the kids' lives. So I can imagine that Mr. Coleman, you feel very left out, and Miss Coleman, you feel harassed because you're trying to deal with day to day. I got to just do things with the kid, not just tell you what I'm doing with the kid.
Right.
You know, I can remember very great fights over that. My wife, one time, as I'm, you know, because it used to be that I used to do all the cooking, and then I got certain jobs and I couldn't cook anymore. And my job became, she would feed the kids. I did the morning routine. I got home. I did the dishes while I ate standing up, and then played with the kids. As she's standing there yelling at me while I'm doing the dishes, telling me I don't do enough to help around the house. I've played almost became a frisbee. But thanks to what I do for a living, I just took a deep breath because I've worked on a lockdown psych unit. I took a deep breath and said, this is not the moment to address this. And I did address it later because my wife is anal retentive and obsessive compulsive. Now we will be married for 34 years this coming summer, but every marriage has rough patches. But even then I looked at her and I said, on Saturday, finally, I said, look, you come home, we've got 5 hours worth, 5 hours worth of work to do every Monday through Friday. We only have 2 hours to do it in. Every Saturday, we still have 8 hours worth of work to do. And we have the 20 hours worth of work that's been left over from the week. So yeah, we're both doing the best we can. Am I helping enough? No. Are you doing enough? You're trying. Neither one of us can do it all. Raising kids is a hell of a job. But keep that in mind, Miss Coleman, when he's trying to ask about what's going on, you know, and yeah, I mean, kids generally tell you, you know, how was your day? It was good. Zoom to the bedroom and play with toys. Okay. So she may not know either, Mr. Coleman, because the child has got a world of their own. Just try and accommodate each other in doing that. And remember that each of you are trying to do the best you can under the circumstances that you're in. You know, I didn't choose either of you to be a parent of this child. You guys chose each other. Remember that, because you're going to have to live with each other for a long time because of that child. You have school, graduations, girlfriends, vacations, hopefully, weddings, and grandchildren. I'm at that other stage. You're just starting off with school. There's a lot more to come. Okay. We'll be here to help you get through this with whatever we can, but start using that app. Miss Judy will put it into an order. Sign up as soon as you can and start using that for all of your communications. Okay. That way it's registered, and maybe we have better evidence next time as to what's happening, and hopefully we can get you through this. But both of you try to make this happen. The child deserves this, because it is the child's right to parenting time, not yours. Okay. Good luck. I wish I could have been further help. I'm sorry. I was hoping for something. You know, normally I get some epiphany on evidence, and that didn't happen in this case. And I thank you, Miss Judy, for going through it all before my eyes caught it. Because I looked at it, my eyes crossed the first 2 times I read it. Matter of fact, the first time I read it, she had sent me an email, and halfway through reading it, she retracted the email and it disappeared off my screen. So I'm like, well, what happened? She's like, oh, I retracted that because there were a couple of mistakes. I'm like, okay. I've been trying to read this all morning and go through it.
Thank you.
No, I'm just here to help, because both of you are frustrated. I'm very frustrated because I don't see how it just doesn't match. And I wish both of you well and stay safe.
Thank you.
And try and stay warm. I forgot, where are you stationed, sir?
I'm in Vegas.
Oh, sure, fine. Never mind. You can stay warm. Miss Coleman, good luck staying warm. We're in 0-degree wind chill at this point. Mr. Coleman, enjoy Las Vegas.
Well, he's not stationed anymore.
Oh, okay. Oh, he's not. Okay, I'm sorry. I like I said, I was rereading the file and I noticed that he was in the military, so I'm just like, enjoy the good weather, sir. Ma'am, stay warm. I got people working in my attic right now because I know things that I can do and things that I can't do, and I can't do attic work right now. They're redoing some of the vents and stuff because they've been leaking, and that's something I can't do. I am laying 600 square feet of tile in the basement because I'm cheap. So I got 200 feet done, 200 square feet done, 400 more square feet to do. So almost there. But boy, at 63, the body aches. So enjoy being young and in shape. In any event, take care of yourselves. And hopefully I don't have to see you again, but if I have to, I'll see you again.
Thank you.
Take
care.